70 Foundation Field Report, File 6, Minor Factions. Now, after we've confirmed with our in-place agents that there are several factions operating within the major power blocks of the Paradox timeline, we have put together a rough list of the factions we know to be operating within these forces. Now, first are the Allied Reservists. It seems that in the Allied nations there is militarily the Peacekeepers, who are an elite force, the best of the best, drawn from all nations and given the best technologies which withstand war, and the Allied Reservists, who use technology that is on par with what we had in 1969 in our own timeline, and are more of the force behind the Allied nations. The Peacekeepers are a surgical strike, the Reservists are a hammer blow. That is not to say they are unprofessional. In fact, the Reservists can be considered the best military forces of the Allied nations. Next is the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. South Vietnam, as we know, is trying to gain entry into the Allied nations, and at present their primary military force that is most effective on the battlefield are the ARVN Rangers. As in our own timeline, the Rangers are an elite force within the South Vietnamese military, and it does appear that at present the Rangers are focused on holding Vietnam's borders and ensuring that the Viet Cong can be purged from South Vietnam by any means necessary. This, of course, leads to the next minor faction of the Viet Cong themselves. With support from North Vietnam and the Soviet Union, the Viet Cong have actually gained access to armored vehicles, which we have confirmed during our entry into the timeline way. The Viet Cong are stealthy, and they have a massive tunnel network under the country, but at present, they are still trying to make the major strike they feel will end the war in their favor. Moving on to China, we have two smaller factions warring not only with the Atomic Kingdom, but with the Allied nations and Soviet Union as well. First is the National Revolutionary Army of the KMT. The National Revolutionary Army currently utilizes entrenchments and massive defensive fortifications in order to preserve what territory they still have left. That includes the entire island of Taiwan. Meanwhile, the People's Liberation Army has decided to continue to attempt to overwhelm the National Revolutionary Army with massed wave assaults of whatever forces they can scrounge up from the ashes of the post-atomic landscape. After this, in the Middle East, there is the Global Liberation Army, a loose coalition of radicals, nationalists, and terrorists dedicated to, well, we really cannot find a goal at the present time. The GLA are amorphous, they are infighting at the present time. They're also waging war against both the Allied nations and the Soviet Union, as well as the Greater Indian Commonwealth forces present in the Middle East. We are going to try to find out as much as we can about the GLA, but we cannot guarantee that we will find anything worthwhile. Over the next few weeks, we will need time to infiltrate the GLA and find out what we can. Now, there is a neutral party in all this, International Incorporated, a arms dealer that is known to provide quality military technologies and equipment at a low cost, which means that International Inc. is literally the world's gun cabinet. International Inc. designs can be found everywhere except for the Soviet Union and their allied nations. It seems that the Soviets have a bit of a history with International Inc. and their president, Andrei Orlov. We will try and find out more about this feud as time goes on. Now, this is another loose outline of the forces we know about. There are still others we need to research, but at the present, these are the factions we should focus on in terms of how they interact with the more powerful blocks within the Paradox timeline. More details should be incoming within the next few days. Field Team, signing out.